After 60, life isn't about collecting more stuff, more obligations, or more stress. It's about choosing better. But too often, invisible habits steal your joy in quiet, familiar ways. In this video, we'll explore 10 habits that might be silently draining your happiness, and how to replace them with something that brings you peace, connection, and meaning. The last one might just reframe how you wake up tomorrow. Number 1. Holding on to just-in-case thinking. If you open your closet, your kitchen drawer, or even your mental to-do list, you might find something you've been holding on to for years. Not because you love it, not because you use it, but simply because of those 4 little words. Just in case I need it. We all do it. That old jacket with the broken zipper, the stack of birthday cards you never sent, the camping gear from that one trip 10 years ago. Even the beliefs, like I must stay busy or I shouldn't spend money on myself. They all live in the attic of your life, collecting dust, just in case. But here's the quiet truth no one talks about. Just in case rarely comes. And in the meantime, it costs you space, peace, presence. I once spoke with a woman in her mid-60s who couldn't bear to get rid of her teaching materials. 3 boxes of worksheets, outdated lesson plans, even broken pencils. She'd been retired for over a decade. When I asked her why she kept it, she said, "What if the school calls and needs a sub?" But the call never came, and deep down, she knew it wouldn't. Letting go isn't wasteful. It's respectful to the life you have now. Because just in case is rooted in fear. Fear of not being needed. Fear of losing control. Fear of the unknown. And after 60, you've earned the right to stop living in fear and start living in freedom. So ask yourself this. Is this item, this habit, this thought helping you live better now? Or is it anchoring you to a version of yourself that no longer fits? Try this today. Pick one drawer, one shelf, one old story in your head, and ask, do I keep this out of love or out of fear? You don't need to throw everything away, but you do need to make space, because joy needs room to breathe. 2. Saying yes when you mean no. There's a quiet kind of burnout that happens after 60, not from working too hard, but from pleasing too long. You say yes to the neighbor's request, yes to watching the grandkids again, yes to the event you don't want to attend, the chore you didn't volunteer for, the favor that drains you. And each time, a small voice inside whispers, "But I didn't really want to." And you hush it, because you're kind, because it's easier, because that's what you've always done. But here's the cost no one tells you about. Every unwanted yes is a silent no to yourself. No to rest. No to peace. No to what you actually needed that day, even if it was just a slow morning, a good book, or a phone call with someone you miss. I met a retired nurse named Carol who told me, "I spent my whole life taking care of others. I don't know how to stop." She kept saying yes to errands, committees, favors, until her days felt fuller than when she was working. She was retired, but not rested. And here's the truth she learned the hard way. You're allowed to say no now. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you've started caring for yourself. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you open by choice, not obligation. You are not selfish for resting. You are not unkind for protecting your time. You're simply wise enough to know that your energy is sacred. Try this today. The next time someone asks for your time, pause. Don't rush into a yes. Ask yourself, do I want to do this? Or do I just feel like I should? If it's the second, practice saying no kindly, clearly, and without guilt. Because the older you get, the more precious your time becomes. Spend it on things and people that give something back. Number 3. Letting clutter outweigh clarity. It doesn't happen overnight, but slowly, over months, years, even decades, life starts to fill up with stuff. piles of paper you'll sort later, kitchen gadgets you haven't touched since 2012, photos, emails, decorations, expired spices, saved voicemails, memories and maybes, packed into every drawer, corner, and folder. But clutter isn't just physical. Clutter is anything that crowds out what matters. Mental clutter, the to-do lists that never end. Emotional clutter, the guilt you carry for things you can't change. Digital clutter, the tabs open on your screen and in your mind. And here's the quiet cost. Clutter steals your clarity. It dulls your joy. It says, stay overwhelmed, stay distracted, stay small. I once worked with a man named Leon, 70, widowed, living alone. His house was filled with beautiful things, but every surface was covered. When I asked him what he wanted most in this chapter, he said, I want to feel calm when I walk into a room. Not fancy, not impressive, just calm. He didn't need a renovation. He needed space. And maybe you do too. You don't have to go full minimalist. You don't need to toss everything or alphabetize your pantry. But you can start small. One drawer, one email inbox, one corner of your mind. Ask yourself, is this helping me feel peaceful or just busy? Does this represent who I was or who I am now? Because here's the secret. Every time you clear a little clutter, you make room for clarity. You make space for creativity, conversation, breath, and rest. So let go of what weighs you down. Not to be tidy, but to be free. Number 4. Eating for comfort, not fuel. Food is memory. It's celebration. It's love passed down through recipes, Sunday dinners, and that one dessert everyone asks for. But over time, especially after 60, food can also become something else. A distraction, a reward, a habit we stop questioning. And without realizing it, we start reaching for comfort over nourishment. That third cookie after a lonely afternoon. The nightly glass or two of wine that dulls more than it delights. Skipping meals all day, then eating whatever's easiest at night. It's not about judgment. It's about awareness. I once met a woman named Lydia who told me, I used to cook for 6. Now I microwave for 1. Her relationship with food changed not because she wanted it to, but because her life did. And she didn't know how to reconnect with eating as care, not coping. But here's what she discovered. You don't need a new diet. You need a new why. Ask yourself, does this meal give me energy or just fill a gap? Does this taste like comfort or like compromise? Nourishment isn't only about kale and quinoa. It's about rituals. A warm bowl of soup eaten slowly. A morning cup of tea enjoyed by the window, not in front of the news. Preparing a small, colorful plate just for you, not because you have guests, but because you're worth it. Food can still be joy, but it should also be fuel. For your heart, your brain, your balance, your days. You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve meals that don't just numb emotion, but awaken presence. Try this. Cook one thing this week that makes you feel alive, not just full. Eat without rushing. Taste without multitasking. Because after 60, eating isn't just about survival. It's about supporting the life you still get to live. Fully. Number 5. Postponing joy until everything's handled. There's a lie we've all been told, and many of us believed, finish your work first, then you can play. And so we wait. We wait until the house is clean, until the paperwork is done, until the errands are run, the bills are paid, the grandkids are settled, the weather is just right, the timing makes sense. But here's what no one tells you. Joy does not wait for you to be done. Joy shows up when you invite it, even in the middle of the mess. I met a retired mechanic named Bill who told me, I thought I'd travel once I organized the garage. That was 4 years ago. The garage is still full. The trips, never taken. Because life has a sneaky way of filling up with more tasks. The list never ends. And if you keep putting off joy until the right moment, you'll miss the only one that's real, now. So here's a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, "Have I earned joy today?" try asking, "Where can I add joy today?" even if everything else isn't done. It doesn't have to be grand. You don't need to fly to Italy or throw a party. Joy is in the small things. Playing music while you fold a laundry. Taking 15 minutes for a walk without your phone. Laughing over a silly TV show. Calling that old friend just to say, "I miss you." You don't need to escape your life to enjoy it. You need to interrupt your routine with something that feeds your soul. Try this. Schedule one joyful thing this week, just for you. Write it on the calendar like a doctor's appointment. And when the moment comes, don't postpone it. Because after 60, joy isn't a reward, it's a lifeline. Number 6. Living inside other people's stories. You've worn many roles in your life: parent, partner, provider, caretaker, friend. You've shown up, held things together, been who others needed you to be. And somewhere along the way, something quiet happened. Your story started sounding like everyone else's. Their needs shaped your days. Their opinions shaped your choices. Their dreams shaped your sacrifices. That's love. That's life. That's what many of us were taught to do. But now you have a rare, beautiful chance to ask, "Who am I?" when no one is expecting anything. I once sat with a man in his late 60s who said, "I raised my kids. I buried my parents. I ran a business. I was always dad, son, boss. But I don't know who me is without a title." And he was tearful, not from regret, but from possibility. Because here's the gift of this stage of life. You're allowed to start a new story. One where you are the main character again. Maybe you love watercolor but never dared pick up a brush. Maybe you want to travel, dance, date, write, or simply rest. Not because someone told you to, but because your soul whispered, "This is who I am." Living for yourself doesn't mean turning your back on others. It means turning toward yourself with compassion, curiosity, and care. Try this. Write down 5 things you've always wanted to do or be, but never gave yourself permission for. Then pick one. Take a small step, even if it's just watching a video, joining a group, signing up for a class. You've lived many beautiful chapters, but you don't have to keep rereading the old ones. The pen is still in your hand. And the page? It's wide open. Number 7. Ignoring pain, physical or emotional. There's a quiet kind of bravery that many people over 60 carry. The ability to smile through discomfort. Your back aches when you wake up. Your knees protest the stairs. A memory stings your heart, but you say, "I'm fine." You push through the pain, brush it off, distract yourself with chores, television, grandkids, or routines. Because acknowledging pain feels like admitting weakness. But here's the truth. Ignoring pain isn't strength. It's self-neglect dressed up as resilience. I once spoke to a man named Jorge, 72, who said, "I haven't been to the doctor in 5 years. I don't want to know what they'll find." When I asked him how he felt, he said, "Tired, but I'm used to it." And those words stayed with me. I'm used to it. Many of us have become used to things we don't deserve: fatigue, isolation, grief, guilt, or even physical pain. But just because you can endure it doesn't mean you should. There is no medal for suffering in silence, and there is no shame in saying, "I need help, I need rest, I need healing." Whether it's calling your doctor about that nagging pain, or calling a friend to talk about something you've been carrying, or simply allowing yourself to cry in the shower without judgment. That is courage. Pain, when ignored, hardens. But when acknowledged, it softens. It moves, it teaches. Try this. Pay attention today. What hurts, in your body or your heart? Name it. Write it down. Then ask, what's one small step I can take toward relief, Not tomorrow, but now. Because after 60, the goal isn't to suffer well. It's to live well, with honesty, with care, and with gentle self-respect. Number 8. Consuming negativity like it's news. It often starts innocently. You turn on the TV with your morning coffee. You scroll through your phone before bed. A headline, a soundbite, a talking head, all insisting the world is falling apart. Before you know it, hours have passed, and so has your peace. Here's the quiet truth. You're not just watching the news, you're absorbing it. The fear, the outrage, the helplessness, it seeps into your mood, your sleep, your hope. And the most dangerous part, it feels like staying informed, but really, it's staying overwhelmed. I once met a woman named Darlene, 68, who said, "Every night I watch the news and feel worse, but I can't stop. I'm afraid I'll miss something important." So she kept tuning in, but started tuning out of everything else. Her energy, her laughter, her garden. Negativity had become her companion. And maybe you felt that too. Let's be clear. Staying informed is responsible. Living in a constant state of fear is not. Most of what we call news today is not education. It's emotional manipulation. Fear sells. Calm doesn't. So here's a powerful shift. Don't stop consuming information. Start curating it. Limit your exposure, choose your sources, read instead of watching, so you can absorb facts without tone. Balance every negative headline with something uplifting. A story of kindness, a moment of nature, a book that makes you think, not panic. Try this. Take one news-free day this week. No cable, no doom scroll. Instead, fill that space with something that reminds you of what's still good in the world and in you, because your attention is a precious resource. Don't spend it where there's no return on joy. After 60, your peace is not optional, it's essential. Number 9. Believing you're too old for something new. It starts as a quiet whisper in your mind. I'm too old for that. Too old to learn piano. Too old to fall in love. Too old to start a business, move to a new city, wear that color, try that dance class, or learn how to use that app your grandkids love. That phrase, too old, sounds like wisdom, but it's usually just fear dressed up as logic. I met a man named Reggie, 74, who always dreamed of learning to paint. But every time someone asked why he hadn't started, he'd shrug and say, "I missed my window." Then one day, his daughter handed him a watercolor set for his birthday and said, "What window? You're still here." He started with shaky lines. 6 months later, he had a wall full of landscapes and a new sense of pride he hadn't felt in years. Here's what Reggie learned, and maybe it's what you need to hear today. You're not too old. You're just early for your next version. Growth doesn't have an expiration date. You don't stop becoming someone just because the candles on your cake now need a little extra space. In fact, after 60, you finally have something you didn't before. Time, perspective, freedom, and, frankly, less need to care what anyone else thinks. So, what's something new that secretly excites you, but also scares you a little? That's the place to lean in. Try this. Write down one thing you've always wanted to try, but told yourself it's too late. Now break it into one tiny action. Watch a video tutorial, sign up for a beginner class, visit a meetup, ask a friend to try it with you, because your story isn't finished, not even close. You don't need to do everything, but you do need to do something that makes you feel alive. Number 10. Pretending you have forever. We all know the truth, that life is finite, but most of us live like we've got endless time. We wait, we postpone, we tell ourselves, I'll call them next week. I'll visit when it's less hectic. I'll write that book, one day. But here's the reality. One day isn't a date on the calendar, and someday never sends an invitation. I once spoke with a woman named Helen, 69, who lost her best friend unexpectedly. She told me, "We always said we'd take that road trip together. We even talked about it last month, but now it's too late." And then she paused and whispered, "I thought we had more time." That's the illusion we all fall for, that we'll always have more time. But the truth? You don't need to fear the end of your life. You just need to stop living like it will never end. This isn't about being morbid. It's about being awake. It's about recognizing that each day isn't just a blur to survive. It's a gift to shape. So let me ask you gently, if you knew this year was your last, who would you call today? What would you stop tolerating? What dream would you finally stop postponing? You don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to change your whole life. But you can start with one moment of presence, one act of love, one risk towards something real. Try this. Say the thing you've been meaning to say. Book the small trip. Start the letter. Plant the seeds, literal or emotional. And most of all, live like your time is not unlimited, but deeply, beautifully valuable. Because forever isn't promised, but today is here, and that's more than enough to begin. So, what now? You've heard 10 quiet habits that might be weighing you down, not because you've done anything wrong, but because life changes, and so should how we live it. Not everything needs to be fixed. Not every drawer has to be cleaned. Not every dream must be chased tomorrow. But maybe, just maybe, something in this video nudged you. Maybe one line made your chest tighten, or your eyes well up, or your breath slow down. That's your signal. Because aging isn't just about slowing down. It's about tuning in to what matters now, to what feels honest, to what feels like peace. So I'll ask you one small question. What are you ready to let go of? Starting today. Just one thing. Not because someone told you to, but because it no longer fits the person you're becoming. And if you feel brave enough, share it in the comments. Not for me, but for the person scrolling who might see your words and whisper, "Me too." And if this video made you feel seen, understood, or inspired, share it with someone you care about. A friend, a sibling, a partner, someone who might need this same reminder. You don't have to wait for peace. You can choose it. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your time is sacred, and I never take that for granted. Until next time. Take care of your space, take care of your body, and most of all, take care of your story. Because it's not over, it's just starting to get real.